Welcome to the audio excerpts of special seminars and conversations with Nolan Narula on gettingpositivekarmanow.com.
We move on to the third principle of Reiki. Just for today, I will not anger. So the guidance that we get for just for today, I will not anger comes from basically understanding why we get angry. And the major cause for anger is feeling out of control, feeling helpless, frustrated, inability to do anything positively in a situation. So this I am the controller, ahankar, I am the doer controller, is the Sanskrit word, and the translation is basically false ego. That I think I am the controller. I act according to that thinking, and whereas the reality is that it is demonstrated to me on a daily basis that I am not the controller. Other things are controlling my life or driving it, but I am thinking I have the power to control, and therefore I have the right to control things in my life to go in a direction that I want them to go. And that gets frustrated all the time. So that leads to anger. So because we identify ourselves with the interaction of the three material modes of nature, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance, sattva, rajas and tamas, these are all changeable and perishable like the physical body. So they don't stay constant. Because things don't stay constant also is a reason for anger that comes out of a reaction from fear. When we are fearful about the non-permanent, our instant reaction is to be angry. How can this be? It shouldn't be. We want things to remain the way they are. This reminds me of a very short story from Birbal and Akbar. Birbal was the wise counselor to King Akbar. And one day they were walking in the royal rose gardens, and Akbar was appreciating the beauty of the architecture and the landscape, the gardening, and he was saying to Birbal, who was also his friend, besides being his wise counselor, that wouldn't it be great if things would last forever this way? What do you think, Birbal? Wouldn't it be nice if I could just be like the way things are? I'm the king. So Birbal smiled and he said, Maharaj, if things were to remain the same forever, then you would never have taken over from the previous king. So you wouldn't have had an opportunity. So things must change. So if we are connected with the pure aspect of goodness, sattva, shuddha sattva. Shuddha sattva means purified and pure goodness, which is of the spiritual nature and permanent, unlike the material sattva, which is non-permanent. So when we are connected to Shuddha Sattva through the healing energies, through Reiki, through the KQ force, through Brahma energies, then we connect with that quality of immortality, of permanence. So all things around us must change, but our consciousness won't change in the sense of deteriorating or becoming non-permanent. Now, I am not talking about the expression of the consciousness through the deteriorating body, which may deteriorate. Sometimes the brain deteriorates in old age or because of disease, and the consciousness cannot express itself adequately because the brain function is compromised. But the consciousness itself is not. because the blockage is in the physical plant and machinery, not in the energy. The quality of energy doesn't change. It is how it is expressing itself through the body that changes. So the example for this is that the same consciousness element is available in a plant body, in an animal body, in a fish, in a bird, in an insect, in a bacteria, but they're expressing themselves differently depending on the physical body. So this is the interface aspect of the physical body, where the interface, depending on the quality of the interface and the quality of the body available, there is an expression of the consciousness. So, if you have some damage in the brain, the consciousness particle, which is of the same quality as in yours and mine and anyone else's, cannot express itself fully. Vedic anthropology tells us there are 8.4 million species of life. And Vedic anthropology is based upon the spiritual ability or the connectivity or the ability to express consciousness. So out of these 84 lakh, 8.4 million species, 400,000 are in the humanoid form. And that is classified according to the ability of the consciousness to express itself through that body. Vedic anthropology. So as evolved a person is, then he is considered to be at a higher level of those 400,000 humanoid species of life. So this covers all humanoid forms, human beings, from the hellish planets, hellish zones of existence, to the heavenly zone of existence. In fact, everybody in the entire material universe. So it is clear that depending on your physical plant and machinery and what you have done to evolve yourself spiritually by removing the materialistic coverings of your consciousness, you will get a body accordingly. It's a matter of removing, it's not a matter of adding. Spiritual evolution does not take place by so-called developing spiritually. That's a misnomer. Because your spiritual self is fully 100% pure, divine, perfect. You cannot improve perfection. It is of that quality of perfection. But because it is covered by the layers of ignorance, by the layers of material subtle energies, false ego, that consciousness will express itself differently. So as much as you can remove those layers that are interfering or filtering out or blocking the spiritual consciousness, that much the spiritual consciousness will radiate more. It will expand into the body more. It will expand into the actions of the body that spiritual entity is occupying. It will progress them towards their spiritual goal faster. So yes, to answer your unstated question, within the body, you can actually evolve to a higher species of human being. When you evolve spiritually, so to speak, by removing the ignorance blocks and filters. You don't have to wait for a new body. For example, when you are given a Brahmin initiation, you are given an appellation, Dev Sarman, on the platform equivalent of the demigods. because your consciousness has been raised to that level. And let me tell you that all healers are Dev Sarman at the very minimum. Their consciousness is at the level of the demigods. So you have evolved in this lifetime, in this body, to a higher level of consciousness, perfectly in line with Vedic attunement, in line with Vedic anthropology rules. So within this body also you can evolve. You don't have to wait for a new physical body. And because you are beginning to understand this, you know that you are a channel for healing. You know that you are part of the supreme spiritual being, a separated part, undoubtedly, but still qualitatively of the same quality of the supreme, but very tiny quantity. Whereas the supreme is unlimited in quantum, we are limited in quantity. So therefore, we will be able to express those divine qualities that much less, and depending upon what are the coverings. So you can always get coverings and the coverings will disappear, sometimes they'll reappear. Depending on your emotional state and where you're connecting to, pretty much like gallbladder stones. They also have a habit of disappearing and appearing depending on how you heal yourself. We have seen this over the last 3 decades, that when healing is done, gallbladder stones will disappear because gallbladder stones are emotionally connected thought entities, and they are solidified emotions which the body is trying to isolate, and then they will be healed and there will be air pockets in your gallbladder. The ultrasonologist will be perplexed. Why are there air pockets? Did you have a gallbladder operation? No, not the kind you are thinking of, but we had the healing operation. So why is there air? The air is because a thought is composed of air and space, and a gallbladder stone is a concretized thought. The body is trying to isolate it, put it in prison. So sometimes they will disappear, you'll get some sludge. That sludge will also disappear, so you'll be gallbladder stone sludge free for 6 months or a year. Then you start meditating on how your mother-in-law destroyed your life or whoever, and you will get the gallbladder stones again because you're meditating on that. So the same way, as a spiritual entity, you can get these filters back or you can discard them. So they are variable depending upon your connectivity level. Where are you connecting? Are you connecting to fear? And at which chakra? Is it the solar plexus? Is it your purpose of life? Is it your fear? Is it doubt? All the lower bodily chakras, which are the vehicle for you to move forward in this life physically, and also the astral and subtle vehicles through which you move towards your goals in life. So it's not one can say that the physical body doesn't limit one's spiritual evolution. Yes, but it can make it really difficult. So it requires you to be attentive to your physical body's requirements. The first order of business is to keep your equipment in good order, which is your body. This is the only equipment you have in this lifetime. You don't have anything else. You just have you and your body. So if it's me and my body, I better pay attention, because I will be otherwise distracted with so many health issues which will not allow me to function spiritually towards the goals that I want, nor will it permit me to be mobile enough to fix my life. Now, what if I'm already in such a state? Somehow I have reached that position where my body is not able to be fixed that much. No problem. The chakras are still there. Your connectivity is still there. As long as you are doing what is necessary to fix your body, it doesn't matter what shape your body is in. It will not block you, it will not obstruct you greatly. Yes, some hurdles will be there, but the way that we know how to do healing is you don't need anything except your mind, except your thought process. And as long as you connect to the methodology of the mantras, of whatever it is that the methodology is for that particular healing modality, you could be on your deathbed and still doing healing and channeling healing to others extremely powerfully. We have seen that. So ultimately, the body is not a limitation, but that does not give me the right to be profligate with my body. So it is up to you to find out what is the fuel that my body runs on. I'm already beginning to find out that what is the fuel that my soul runs on. That is the Reiki energy, the Brahma energy, the soul power. Now I need to know what powers my body. So when you marry these two together, you have pretty much an unbeatable combination, regardless of whether you had operations and missing limbs or missing organs, or you are in such a disease condition where your body is not fully responsive or it is deteriorating. Because remember, at the end of your life, your body has to shut down. You will be inspired to allow yourself to leave your body only when the body becomes inhospitable to you. Otherwise, you're attached to it. And the more attachment you have, the greater pain when you leave the body. It is said that the pain of death is like the sting of 1,000 scorpions for a person who is attached. On the other hand, this doesn't mean let me cut it short. Okay? You don't go and off yourself. That is illegal in Vedic law, and you're going to get karmic consequences for that. I'm told that this is about the only crime where if you fail, you'll be punished for it. If you fail to commit suicide, you'll be punished. If you actually succeed, there's no punishment here, but punishment is waiting elsewhere. Huh? Very peculiar law. I haven't committed the crime. I failed in committing suicide. Okay, you're going to be prosecuted. Is that correct? Yes. Ridiculous. The person needs to go to hospital, needs to be institutionalized rather than be imprisoned. Needs to go to the psychiatric wing to work on their psychological condition, which is leading them to that point of hopelessness and helplessness. And of course, if you are a connected healer and connecting with your healing energy, you need never be helpless. You never need to be hopeless at all. Choice is yours. Sometimes there's a nice, enjoyable taste. I want to feel depressed. I love it because then I can get people to pay attention to me. Come on, get a move on. You're healers. You're connected to the most powerful energy in the universe. And if you are not experienced it, it's because you've not been able to connect with it the way that you should be. And I'm giving you all the tools to be able to do that now. You already had them earlier, and now I'm giving you some more. Questions? Yes.
The nature of consciousness is light.
Whatever it is light. Whatever it is, light, sound.
It is physical body, which is matter, the subtle body, and the consciousness. This is three parts which we have.
Consciousness is a symptom of the soul. Yes, it is a symptom. It is like when you have sensation in your toe, that is a symptom of the consciousness which is emanating from your soul. The soul is supposed to be sitting in your heart chakra. Okay? And because of that, you have sensation in your body. Now, when there is some blockage, then the consciousness cannot go to that body part. So, consciousness is a manifestation of soul power. It is a part of the soul's energy. So when a person is dying, the consciousness usually recedes from the foot upwards. So the feet start becoming insensible, not sensitive to touch, pain, anything. And gradually the numbness, you can say, travels upward. And then depends, person may leave through nine gates you have in the body, can leave through any of the 9 gates. The lower gateways are considered to be gateways to the hellish planets, where you go for rectification and correction, the department, universal department of corrections. And the upper ones, you get a promotion to a better place, where you have the opportunity to restart what you left off, or if you didn't complete your work, you get an opportunity to complete it. So the deeper understanding of just for today I will not anger is to remind yourself of these few points. That you are part of the divine supreme controller, and that you are the controlled, you are not the controller. You only have a very limited positional controllership in your life. Very limited in certain areas. And that is based on the position that you occupy, your occupational duty, or your positional relationship and reference to others. Beyond that, you have no controllership issue. And it's a very specific thing that, I am boss in the office. Maybe when I come home, my wife is my boss, or my dog is my boss, or anybody else. Family members are the boss. So you're not infinitely boss. So up to the point that you're not able to understand this limited controllership issue business, try and assess your reactions and responses without judging yourself. That is very important. Another cause for anger is self-judgment. Trying to force yourself to change despite what you feel in any direction. I mean, you may be feeling frustrated or humiliated and angry, and you don't want to change, but you say, I have no other option. Well, just hold on for a bit, think about this, and at least start becoming aware that you are in a diseased condition, diseased condition. You're not at ease. And above all, don't feel guilty or sorry for feeling angry. That's part of the judgment aspect. And you should just let go of judging yourself for being angry, and you should forgive yourself. What does forgive mean? Eventually, it means to give up the act of judgment. Giving up the act of judgment, giving up the act of coming to a conclusion. You see, judgment is a conclusion. There's no going beyond a judgment. So judgment means I'm at a standstill. This is it. This is the final word. But that's not true, because you are a living, moving entity. There's no final word for you. Which is why even the worst case sinner, so to speak, can reform, because it's not final. Now, whether he reforms today, tomorrow, this life, next life, that's not the discussion at the moment. The point is that the ability to reform is there. The ability to change is there. So that is what you need to be grateful for and thankful for. So don't anger because of that. Witness it, observe it, watch it. And when you start watching anger or any negative emotion, you'll find that that emotion actually disappears. On the other hand, if you are observing being happy or enthusiastic without force, without forcing anything on that, through your act of observation, that will increase. The positive increases. The more you focus on how steady you are, you'll become more steady. The more you focus on how unsteady you are, that will increase. But when you are observing from a distance, the unsteadiness will disappear. Because observing at a distance truly means that you are now connecting with your soul self. So when you connect with your higher self, your soul self, all the lower emotions, the negative holding back emotions will dissolve and the positive ones will increase, because there is a like resonance between the two. Positive and positive supercharged soul power increases the positive. The negative and supercharged soul power dissolves the negative. It's a very straightforward equation. So this is different from like attracts like and energy follows thought, because that is then dependent on the mind. We are talking about our mind faculty, where energy follows thought. Thought is coming from mind. And like attracts like is also coming from there. So when you bump up from beyond, go beyond the mind to the third eye chakra and above, all the powerful, healing, spiritual, divine energies are coming down to fix the negative and to multiply the positive. So just for today, I will not anger, because I'm grateful for all of this. It's a huge thing that I have received, and I will multiply my life's benefits accordingly. So you are no more than unable to deal with situations facing you. The anger that comes from inability to deal is not going to happen. The anger that you get for not being able to convince someone about your viewpoint, irrelevant. Doesn't happen anymore. Why? Because it's not important to you to convince somebody about something. The only reason you will do that is if you want validation from them. If you want them to support. In other words, ask yourself, am I doubtful? Do I need this person's support? Why do I need their support? Okay? So, another reason the anger is there, because the image of myself is damaged. I am feeling humiliated. So after all that is said and done, you must connect that you are different from your image. You are not the same. The image is different from you because it is coming from a temporary place and a variable, changeable place. The image of yourself is constantly changing, whereas yourself is not constantly changing. So there's a difference between the two. The constant self is connected to the universal life force, the soul of the universe, and when you keep connecting again and again to that aspect, you will find the anger dissolving. You will understand that you are not the controller. You're not the doer. At best, you're an agent of the divine as a healer. And eventually the final resolution to anger comes from your ability to respond adequately to any situation that you're facing. Again, eliminating the helplessness, frustration is coming because I can't do anything, it's out of my hands. Okay, what can you do? Do that. Do what you can do. That is the thing. And unless you take responsibility for yourself, to act for yourself, you can't have a positive change. It can't happen. You'll just continue to be overwhelmed, overcome by things that are happening around you, and you just can't deal. You just lie in bed, depressed. So that depression is coming from a transformation of the anger to a poisonous form, a stable poisonous form, which is depression. So you must learn how to take charge of your responsibilities and then take charge of your life, and with the help of the healing energy you handle everything quite perfectly. So then you can truly say, just for today I shall not, I will not anger. And that is how you deal with anger. Conclusively and finally, you may slip, no problem. Practice, remember this, and just reconnect yourself. And there is no anger issue. There is only the issue of dealing with situations and moving forward in life. Any questions? Yes.
Witnessing, how you...
Witnessing means not speaking, only observing.
So you connect to your triple crown?
There's no triple crown.
What else?
Forget all technicalities.
Okay, that exactly.
No technicalities. Just observe. When you're observing, you can't say, okay, now I'm going to the triple crown. That is your mind.
That is mind. Correct.
Yes. You just observe, watchfulness, wakefulness. There's nothing else but observation taking place. And in that, one of the symptoms that when you're observing is that there is no passage of time. And the symptom of no passage of time is a condition of no thinking taking place. When there is a thought process, you are in the past, because a thought cannot take place in the future, it cannot take place in the present. A thought is entirely a recording of what has happened, and based on that recording, the thought is expressing itself. So then you are dealing with the past. Even if it might be a nanosecond behind, you are still in the past. When there is no thinking process, there's only observation and witnessing, you are fully in the now, in the present. So just for today, I will not anger. So ultimately, it's the just for today, just for now is at the core of all the 5 principles. Because when you are in the now, the power of the now moment is truth. And when you live more and more with the now moment, you will access the truth more and more. There is no theory, there is nothing else. You just be there, and the truth is there with you. You will know everything that you need to know. You need not know anything else. Because in the now moment, there is only truthfulness, the reality. That's it. There's nothing more. There's no drama, there's no entertainment, there's no ups and downs. It is only the situation as it exists, as there is, the reality, the bare reality, the truth that there is, and that is how you will connect to the divine more and more. Because with the quality of truth, you can access the divine, who is truth incarnate. His entire body is made of truth. Everything, his clothes are made of truth. Everything is truth. And when you get to that spiritual level in terms of eliminating the blocks, when you are a spirit soul, also everything is spiritual in nature, including your body and your clothes, for example. You share that quality with the divine in tiny quantity. So just for today, I will not anger. And therefore I can move forward in my life. Questions?
To be in the now has to be practiced.
Yes, you have to constantly be in the present moment. Not thinking somebody is speaking, you're thinking something else. No. Let the analysis take place later. If you are asked to give a response, depending on your situation, you have to obviously modify this based on what you are facing. You can always choose to answer later. You can always ask for time. But if you are connected with the truth, your answers will be truthful. So you don't have to think about it. Should I answer or should I not answer? And there is also the truth of your situation is not just one-sided. So you'll be able to see the truth of where you are, you'll be able to see the truth of what others are saying and doing, and then you'll be able to give a truthful response based on whatever might be your reality at that moment. Our personal realities, the universal realities keep changing. But the reality aspect of it being accessed, that cannot change if you are connected with the truth. So truth is not static in the sense that it doesn't change. It's dynamic because it is moving with changing realities as they are, and the truth of that is constant. That there is a specific truth about a changing reality at that time, at that place, at that spot. Let me be aware of that truth and let me respond according to that truth, and then your action is perfect. You will find all your actions that are not perfect, that are not based in awareness of the truth, constantly require modification going forward in time. You have to keep adding, subtracting, changing, tweaking, modifying. If you do a once and for all slice it, it's over. You cut through all the garbage. There was in ancient Rome and in Greece, there was something called the Gordian knot. The Gordian knot was a very complicated knot which locked the doorway of certain access to a certain place, and he who could open it was supposed to get all the benefits, treasures, whatever was available. So people tried, they couldn't unknot it. Alexander came, he took out his sword and he cut it into, done. What is this nonsense? Huh? Cut the Gordian knot. So instead of untangling one thing, that thing, then you find some other knot, then you find some other knot, just slice it, finish it off. Don't go into such complicated things, I have to untangle the knot. Just cut it. That's what truth does. That's the action of truth. So, we are at the end of the third session now. Just for today, I shall not anger. I will not anger. Yes, you have a question?
Sir, talking about truth, give a very simple example. Sometimes you're explaining something to someone, of course truthfully, and you're telling him it's daylight outside. The person says, no, it's not daylight, it's night. So he doesn't wish to see the truth, doesn't wish to understand the reality.
Then why are you persisting? Do you not see the truth that he is not willing to understand, so keep quiet?
But then you...
No, that's your false ego. If the person is unwilling, why are you not seeing the truth of that? And why will you try and force someone who's not willing? We have stated right in the beginning, if someone is not willing, don't force, even yourself, because it won't go down well.
Even if the consequences could be detrimental for the other person.
What can you do? You can only save those who are savable. Those who are not savable, don't want to be saved, what will you do? Is that your purpose in life, that I will go and save the most unsavable? You might have that purpose, but then you better have a game plan in place that you are going to have the ability and the facility and the infrastructure to be able to spend enough time to decontaminate them, to detoxify their thinking process. If you don't have, leave it alone. Refer them to somebody who is more qualified in that area than you. You can always do that. I refer a lot of people to psychiatrists and psychologists. I said, please. Because the healing aspect is not touching them because they're in so much panic or they're in hysteria. So when a person is hysterical, they don't listen to anything, reason. They're just totally bound up in their inner pain. You can't do much. You can pray for them, you can send healing, and point them in the direction to an expert who's actually got the time and the training to deal with that specific aspect. It is not that healing has failed. Everything must be through me and through healing. Not at all. If somebody, is coming to you for a surgical operation, which obviously you're not a doctor, you can't do, why will you insist that only healing can fix you? Take the same gallbladder case. If it's such a problem and stones are coming and going, well, maybe you should have your gallbladder removed and get on with your life. Go ahead. consult medical advice. We are not medical doctors. Please remember that. We are not professional consultants. Remember that. We are not psychological, psychiatric consultants at all. We are healers and guides. And we will guide you to the place where you can get the expertise to help you. That's our job. We will help you as much as we can, and we'll help you find a right path and possibly the right person. The decision is yours. You may have an option of 2 or 3 people, and you decide where you want to go. I mean, we have no stake in that. We are very detached from that. Why will I want to take on somebody's job which I know I'm not qualified for? You do what you're qualified for. That's it. Keep to your core competence, whatever it may be in life, and you can't go wrong. You step out of your core competence area, you're in trouble. Frustration, anger, helplessness, and the whole thing starts going upwards. Fearful, lack of gratitude, and life is miserable. It need not be. It depends entirely on how you deal with it. Okay? So we'll conclude the third principle and take another short break. See how time flies. How much time do you think has gone by?
3 hours.
No, in the last session, in this last session.
Around 40 minutes.
Yeah, 45 minutes. Did it feel like 45 minutes? It didn't feel like 45 minutes. Okay. Time, when you're there with time, you don't see it passing. The truth. Okay? So take a break.
You've been listening to a discussion with Nala Narula on www.gettingpositivekarmanow.com.